Water needs to be a little lukewarm, even warm, but definitely not too water. Alright, so we got our water. And now to the water we're adding 1 tablespoon of dry yeast. If you have weight, that's 10 grams. This is almost a tablespoon, we need just a little bit more in there. Sprinkle down the water, give it a couple minutes. Let's get just a tiny bit to get the water real good. And basically, we're giving them a couple minutes. If it foams like this, it's good. If it doesn't, it's dead, don't use it. This, we're gonna put 4 overflowing cups of sugar. Tablespoons of sugar, not cups. We're not making cake. Oops. It's okay, it needs to be overflowing. 3. There we go. Then we're going to whisk that really well. And the sugar helps the yeast wake up. So. See, it's getting foamed up a lot better. That's because the yeast are good. So that's great. And we're going to give it another few seconds to sit, and then we're going to put in 1 whole egg and 1 egg yolk. And keep the egg whites aside, we're going to use them a whole lot later down the road. And really good. Tear those yolks first, that never happened before. Alright. You don't need a hand mixer, you just need to whisk it well good for a minute or a few seconds. And to that we need either 50 grams of butter, which is about half a stick of salted butter, or a 1/4 cup of oil. So we got butter here, and we're gonna do a 1/4 cup of butter. What?
The bottle trick. Yolk separation.
Can you see that bottle?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Whisk that in. Now when we got everything in there, if your butter is not salted or if you're using oil, then put in 6 grams, which is like 1 teaspoon of regular salt. And now we're going to put 3.5 cups of flour, that's 500 grams. I don't know who uses. Download a converter and figure it out. Now usually we sift the flour. Unfortunately I don't have a sifter here, and also it takes a lot longer. I know the flours here come pre-sifted, but it's very different kind of sifting, and it introduces a lot more air into the mixture, and it's making the bread a lot fluffier and more wonderful. So if you make it at home, I would highly recommend invest in a super fine, like as fine as they come, sifter, and sift your flour straight into the mixture. And now we're going to mix it up a bit with our hands until it comes together to a nice ball of dough, and then we're going to knead it.
There's no.
Alright, that's pretty much together. Who's our next kneader? Yes? Okay. So this is pretty much what the dough looks like when it starts to come together in the ball. It'll still stick to your counter or table, that's not a problem. I'll take it off by itself. Pretty much open it into a bit of a ball. You fold it onto itself and push with your heel, wrist, whatever this is. Fold and push. Collect it, fold and push. Collect it, fold and push. And you keep doing that and they'll come together. Fold and push, and fold and push. When it starts to come together and doesn't really stick to your counter or table anymore, as it starts now, then you can start cleaning your fingers into it. It will take the rest of the dough really well. Now the thing is this, you need to knead for between 15 to 30 minutes, depends on your strength, to get the gluten fully developed. I'm going to show in a second because I have a feeling she may got it fully developed. How you see it. Alright, so I keep kneading, and this is how you keep going. You Move it pretty much like it's got 4 corners. Fold and push with your wrist. The more strength, the muscle, and energy that you put into it, into the movement, doing this, not gonna help you. You can be there 3 hours, it's not gonna get needed. The more energy you're gonna put into it, the better it's gonna be. If you have an eating machine, I have no idea, I never use one. All right, gluten test. Again, this dough feels nice and really soft, tiny bit sticky, not really sticky. It doesn't feel dry, so that's important. We're taking a chunk off. I'm balling it up so it's not sticky to my fingers because that could tear it. And I'm basically first starting just to squeeze it a bit. And then what I'm doing is I'm flattening it more and more and more. I'm going around to not completely tear it. And I'm giving it tiny little pulls every time I go around. Tiny more pulls, tiny more pulls, tiny more pulls. And I keep going until it either tears or get to the point that I want it to be. So this one so far seems real good. Let's see if it's gonna be what we need or if it's gonna tear first. You need to be gentle with this. You don't wanna tear it just because. Wow, this seems really good. All right, now you see how it's nice and really kind of clear. You can a little bit see through it. It's very flexible. It's very, very flexible. It's very good and stretchy. That means the gluten is developed to the level that we need it and that this is ready to be put aside to rise, for the first rise for between 1.5 hours to 2 hours. Okay, now this is how we're putting it aside. We're taking some oil. Take a bowl. I would highly recommend not to use the plastic bowl because it's a pain to try and clean it later because the oil like sinks in or something. And we're gonna oil our bowl. I'm gonna oil it all around. All right, and now we're gonna oil our ball of dough. We need to make it into a ball. I'm gonna oil it real good. Don't worry about splashes. After the first rising, you're gonna oil your whole counter or table to work with it, and it's gonna be just fine. And the reason you oil it, and you wanna oil it real good, is because you really don't want it to dry up on you. And we're using a fresh bowl, not the bowl that we made it in, because the bowl we made it in has a bunch of dry dough pieces and flour in it, and you don't want it to be in your nice dough. So we're putting our dough in here. It's nice and oiled. Nice coat, and we're gonna put saran wrap on it. That's way better than towel because it's protecting it from drying up and it's giving it space to rise without suffocating it. All right, this in a relatively warm place in the house, and that means not under an AC. So don't put it right on your heater. It just means don't put it in an open window in the winter or right under the AC in the summer. Just a relatively warm place in the house, room temperature, for 1.5 hours, 2 hours, and then we're gonna make some shapes.